Well, I just asked all these guys in here. You had 18 skaters play at least 19 minutes on the penalty kill last year.
Yep.
And you had 7 of them available today.
Yep.
So just what goes into like, okay, we know we've got to replace some guys on the penalty kill, and I'm sure that starts in like, April and May.
Yeah, it does. Like when you're looking at guys to bring in, what guys that make our team. Like I said, we have to evaluate the decisions we make on who is staying by what roles everyone's going to do. 5-on-5, special teams, the whole deal, right? So, like, it starts getting to be like, well, here's this guy's strength, here where he might be able to help us, here's this guy's strength, and we could really use him in this spot, So, but it's no different than the 5-on-5 play. Like I wouldn't say it's weighted. It's like we evaluate our structural play, we teach it, we hope the guys improve on it, and then when there's less thinking, like especially for the new guys, then can they go out and execute and play the way we want to play. And it's the same on the penalty kill, Like we're going to have a bunch of practices where we're doing special teams, power play, and penalty kill. Guys are going to get opportunities. And like we're already evaluating that practice and who we felt like looks good in the penalty kill side of it, who looks good on the power play side of it. Might have some openings on both of those special teams to start the year. We're just not sure yet. So, and then you're hoping that you get better at the details and quicker in your execution, and the guys that can kind of do that give themselves a leg up.
You've talked about how the NHL is a development league, but I was wondering if you could talk about some of the inevitable learning that does happen in the NHL, just in looking at Jonathan Drouin becoming more responsible away from the puck. There's inevitably some teaching that does happen in this environment.
Yeah.
Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think like it's not a development league in the sense that you're not, because of the pressure to win and the results that you're trying to get. It's a results driven league, so you're teams, you're going to try to put yourself in the best spot to win as many games as you can, because it's hard even just to make the playoffs and finish in the top 16, and never mind go beyond that. I think what you're trying to do though is, like, for young guys, you're trying to project how much better can they get better if they stay here, and what type of impact can they make if they make little strides throughout the course of the year, and new guys the same thing. Like Middlestead, for instance, he comes in, he's got to learn a new system, he's got to learn the way we play. We stress probably different things when it comes to the way we play and his development maybe than Buffalo did. And he's not a young player by any means, but now we get our hands on him and we see if like what we can teach him can help his game take another step and get to the next level. And we try to do that with all of our guys. Like we're doing it with Kale and Mac and Nico, and just any little things that we can give them. And then especially I think for young guys though, like if you're good enough and you show enough promise and you have the potential and you can, beat someone out of a job to stay, then there's probably lots of work yet to be done. And so I wouldn't say, it's not that there's no developing going on, it's just like for me, it's tougher to like kind of crack the lineup and get a spot before you get to work and learn from, and it's not just from the coaching staff or from management and the conversations you have. You're going to learn a lot from players like Mac, Biko, Kale, Taser, like et cetera. Go down the list, guys like Cogliano, Bellemare, they're already helping our guys. So if you picture that over a 207-day regular season, they're going to learn a lot, and if they can implement it into their game, they're going to get better.
Tillington had mentioned that he felt like the system that he played in Calgary was kind of similar to here. Is that going to be easier for you to kind of get him acclimated with the team, because he feels like he might be able to...
Who's that, Shillington?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you get guys that have been someplace else for especially numerous years, there's habits that form, right? And good habits that that help you be quicker in your structure, and for a defender, taking away time and space and knowing where you got to be and being able to play instinctually instead of having to process everything and think it through. Again, that kind of goes to what I just said. So the more similarities that there are, I think the easier it is for them to get up to speed, And I try to get a sense when I sit down with individuals and new guys coming in, how'd you play last year, what'd you do? Because as soon as they sort of tell me and explain their system, even if I haven't watched them play, I can tell them already, like, right away what some of the differences are going to be and some of the things that we have to, like, keep an eye on. And then over time, and to me that's a little bit about what exhibition's about for veteran guys, and camp 5-on-5 drills, because if I know, they played a man-on-man D-zone face-off coverage and we're not, then I know what his instincts are going to be, and I can watch them through even practices and keep reminding them. And as they sort of get that information, they start, changing the way they do things for the better, like to fit our system.
You came over injured last year, but you still got to have Kovalenko around for 3 or 4 weeks or so. How much do you think that's contributed to him maybe getting off to a good start this week?
Yeah, I think it helps because one, it's not just on my side of it, like the structural play side of it. He comes in, and that's difficult. It's why I like getting some young guys in the lineup early in the season if they can make her team with Val, Leckie, Landy out. It's just you've got a lot of runway in the season to go. You come in at the very end of the year in the playoffs, and every mistake is magnified 10 times, and so the leash can get short at those times of the year, and you already have players established that have been doing things for you the whole year, and you trust them, and so you're going to use them more than other players. So there's more opportunity early in the year. But he did come in and show some promise at the end of last year, and then he gets to get around, our strength and conditioning. They have conversations with him. They might be able to test him, so they get data on him to see where he is now compared to like when he came in last year. Give him some, they figure out what his areas of strength and weakness are, and they can go to work on him over the summer and get a detailed plan for his off-ice and on-ice training. And then the more you get to know just everyone that's like sort of on that side right now, it's more than just players and coaches. The more comfortable you're going to be. You've been in Denver, it's easier to get around. Like whatever you can do to sort of put your mind at ease away from the rink to sort of focus on what you have to do at the rink, it's going to help you.
What do you think of Parker Kelly so far?
What's that?
What do you think of Parker Kelly so far?
He's been pretty good. Trying him at center, I can tell he's still thinking it through and processing it probably more, so we probably haven't seen the pace out of his game that I like. But he's a detailed guy. He was really good today on the penalty kill, which I know he did that there, and it's a strength of his game, or should be a strength of his game. And that'll be a new system too, so I want to give him some time at center. I think it's an easy transition for him just to like bump back to the wing and sort of pick up the pace and go full speed. But we're going to use him a little bit of both, like throughout the course of camp and training camp. So I think he's still got another step to take, but I like from talking to him, he's asking all the right questions, he's playing the right way. The pace of his game, I think he's just going to have to come up a little bit.
When it comes to the roster competitions, do you feel like you have a good grasp on the way it's going to shake out after a 4-day camp, or do preseason games hold a lot of weight?
Yeah, I try not to make those decisions. Like you asked me again, like, so Covey's been good now for a couple days, and then someone will take a dip and the next guy has a good couple days, and so it's got to be like a culmination of their work over a course of time. Right? I try not to jump to someone might come out the first day and have just a horrible day. I'm not sitting there saying, well, that guy can't play. I like to be patient. I like to wait it out, gather as much information as we can. A young guy or any player has a good day, that's all it is. It's one good day. Can you repeat that, as many days as possible over the next 3 weeks to kind of, like, I think if you do something well over time, then you should be able to sustain it, you know, so the consistency is a big part of it. I think for young players, you see it a lot when we call players up in regular season. They'll play a really good game the first game. They're playing on adrenaline. The second game might be good too, and then their game starts to drop off, and you start seeing habits that you shouldn't see and that you can't see in our league. The guys that can kind of play the way they play and have success over time in the American League and can bring those habits and then still elevate them a little bit in our league are the guys that tend to be able to stay long term and continue to contribute to an NHL roster.
I think when Jason Poland signed, he was the leading NCAA scorer.
Yeah.
Not that he can't score here, but it seems like he understands that he's probably not going to be a scorer here. Is it tough for a lot of guys to like realize that, hey, I got to change my game if I want to make it to the NHL?
I think it can be tough on, you know, especially young guys, first-year pros, second-year pros. We try to do a good job of, like, explaining our situation. Hey, I'd love for Jason Poland to be a scorer. It's not going to be as easy to score at this level as it was at the last level. It's not as easy to score in the American League as it was in college, and it gets more difficult here. The thing I like about, like, say a guy like Poles is he understands it. He's gone to work on the rest of his game to try and be a complete 200-foot player, and he still does have a really good scoring touch. Like, if you watch the Burgundy power play at this end, tying into Kovalenko to Poland multiple times right away, like the timing of those plays and to be able to play in the middle ice, scored a really nice goal that I saw. I think it was game 1 of the rookie tournament on the power play, and as a middleman today in practice, he was fantastic. I think he scored 3 goals. So yeah, I know it's just practice, but everyone's competing hard and trying to make her team, and so now those guys are going to get a look to do it again tomorrow in the game, and if they can execute like that against Dallas, then, you know, maybe his scoring touch is coming around a little bit.
Having come up through the East Coast American League as a coach, how much of that teaching philosophy has stayed with you in the NHL?
Yeah, a lot. You know, the one restriction that you have, because you hit the nail on the head before. Like, you still got to teach and coach and develop players. Like, you're trying to make every single player, you know, the best that they can possibly be to help your team win within the structure of your game. And you want to be mindful too of like how do they see themselves as a player? Well, like, so a guy like Poland, that's what he used to do. He used to score. He wants to score. So how can we help him score more while we're still paying attention to all the other stuff that he needs to improve on to play for our team, right? So when they feel like you're invested in their future, whether it ends up being here or someplace else, they're still a better player when they leave than when they came, and it just gives them opportunities to be able to go. Like J-Mac went on to play for San Jose. You know, he played a little bit for us, but more for San Jose. I think they appreciate that, you know. The restriction you have here is time. You know, that's what it is. There's more pressure. You're spending more time on the details of your, like for me, 5-on-5 play and some other aspects of our game, and you're playing every second night. So by the time you get done with your one opponent, you break it down, you teach a little bit, you already got to move on to like get ready for your next one. Whereas like even in the American League and East Coast League, when I was there, it was more of a weekend league. So you had all week to kind of sit down with guys. Now you gotta just, you know, check in on guys and then do a little bit of teaching along the way with the one-on-ones. But one way to get around that too is, you know, oftentimes when we are going to teach, pick any player, Miles Wood, something, we'll grab some other wingers in with him too, or maybe his line, and then you're not just teaching one guy, you're kind of teaching in some small groups, but it's easier for them to open up and get a little back and forth going in the conversation.
How much time are you looking to get your 2 goalies during the preseason?
It's a good question. Probably get them into like 3 games each, but not 3 full games. Yeah, a couple full ones, maybe another half, that kind of thing. Maybe, yeah, 2.5 each would be ideal. Yeah.
Last ones. Does Arturi Lekkinen have a chance to play opening night, or have you already sort of started thinking further along?
I can't. I like. He's out until someone tells me he's in. I think it could be close. You know. I'm planning on him being out until he's in full contact and doing practices, and then if he's in, great. You know. But he's not there yet, and I don't think we've set like a timeline on it. You know, like we want to give him as much time as possible. The surgery was extensive, and so I'm sure he'll be getting evaluated, you know, as we get up to that point, and we'll make a decision what's best for him, and making sure that he's feeling at 110% before he comes back.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Sparks are playing.
Kind of got the feels going here. I know altitude was a thing. What's the overall feel of the body and the game?
Body's holding up. I think everyone's probably a little fatigued at this point, though. Like 4 days in a row on the ice doesn't happen often in the NHL schedule anymore. But you know, I think the practices were good and hard enough. Nothing. They're not trying to kill us, obviously, and blow some groins out. But I think the workload was good the past few days, and I think everyone, would probably say the same.
Different style here in Denver defensively, and obviously it takes some getting used to. How do you feel you've adapted? How's the room? How's the guys, etc.?
Yeah, it's always a bit of a whirlwind going to a new team, trying to, hockey, you still have to read and react at the end of the day. It's not static and X's and O's on the board, but it's a bit of a whirlwind trying to get everything under control and figure things out and just know the lingo too. Every team does the same stuff, but the terminology is always different. But other than that, it's been good. I think I had a decent 4 days for the most part. But I think I think the team's looking to get into some game action here soon, so we're looking forward to that.
Coach Bednar talked about you yesterday in his press conference, and just the veteran leadership that you'll be able to bring into this locker room also, and just sort of that kind of influence. What's that kind of role mean to you?
Yeah, it means I'm old, I guess, and especially in hockey years now. I'm pushing 34 in May, but that's getting old in the new NHL. But I appreciate those kind words from Bedsy, but I'm not a rah guy per se, but I try and lead by example more than anything, and it's just a feather in the cap, and I've been fortunate enough to play in this league long enough to have those things said about me. So it's I'm very humble and fortunate for the opportunity I've had.
Glad to have you here, Kyle. See you soon.
Thanks, boys.
All right, buddy. The training camp in the books. You came in here on a mission to get something done, and that'll be talked about shortly. But you just told me make decisions hard for them. You did that on day one, to be quite honest with you. And I know we've known each other a while, but how's it feel today? You were flying today. You could see that bounce in your step. I just really love the way you played.
Thanks. I'm just trying to do whatever they know I can be good at. I'm not trying to get out of my way to play. I'm not trying to try something different. Like if they give me the PTO, it's because they know something about me that they're interested in. So I'm just trying to do that, and then I try to go reach a little more. Show them, right, the pop in the leg is still there. Like despite my age, I'm still hungry. Like all of that. This is a little extra that I have to show to make sure that they understand. All right, he's for real.
Was the comfortability of being in this organization before and sort of stepping back into it, did that play a factor in helping with that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, already from the first time CMAC talked to my agent, it was like some kind of almost, being proud, inside, all right, they're willing to go back with me, this is cool. And then from that point, it was all right, I know I have this chance that I can take. And then from day one, I've been only welcome with just hugs and warmth all over the place. So it's been easy to feel familiar to be here.
You said something to me before we started rolling that I thought was real cool, and I'll leave you with this. You don't know how long you're going to do these things. You don't take it for granted. It's a privilege to be in a room like this and on this ice. Has that always been a consistent thread through your career?
I think lucky enough, because I got in the league so late, I've had time to have tough time before, so now I see it every day like it's the last one. I'm enjoying every single moment, and hopefully I can, kind of to lead that way.
All right, back with you on the DNVR Avs pod, and we got friend of the show, big friend of the show, and friend of this guy, Sammy Girard, join us. Are we doing this in French or English?
Buddy, whatever you want.
Well, I can't do it in French. I mean, I kind of pick up on what you say when I hear you talking to Mom, but I don't really get it all the time. But you guys have been going back and forth in French for a minute now, so I don't know. You tell me.
Buddy, we'll go English.
Okay, English,
Anglais.
you can subtitle it. Sammy, obviously, last day of training camp. First of all, just how's it feel? I mean, you look good out there. Everybody seems to be buzzing. Is the feel good in camp right now amongst the group?
Yeah, no, obviously the first day it's always a little hard, like to get back to like kind of like game shape a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean it's getting better and better every day. So I feel the pace is getting better as well. So yeah, it's fun to be back.
I bet you're really looking forward to getting back into actual games and stuff, though, too.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's been a long summer, so I think everybody's is excited to start playing some games.
It's always different. At the end of each year, you always say goodbye because you know there's going to be a couple guys that are not coming back. It's like that every year. You've been around long enough now. Obviously, this year, a couple new guys, Haan, Brandstrom, who else? Shillington, and then you lost Jack and guys like that. So what do you feel the competition is going to be? Is it going to be good in a sense? And I think it's going to be good. I've always been, not as a player, but actually as a player and management side, competition is always good, brings the best out of everyone.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like, I feel like every training camp, everybody has to bring their best. Like, you never know what can happen. So, yeah, and I think that's why we train during the summer, to be ready for the camp, and that's why, like, everybody does that. Yeah, I mean, it's been, like, a great camp so far, and I feel like everybody is doing great, and, yeah, we're going to have to keep pushing the pace like we've been doing.
The practices in training camp, Coach talked about how he was sort of introducing systems to the guys that weren't familiar with them before, and obviously there are some new guys. Lots of people talking about Cal Ritchie, of course. Do you think the guys have picked up on the systems pretty well? Do you think they're understanding what Coach Bednar is trying to get across?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why we do video, before practice, and that's why we practice this too. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it takes that long. I mean, maybe a couple practice, couple of games as well, and all the guys gonna pick it up. Obviously, we all reach that level for a reason, and and having like a lot of videos like that helps us to just figure out what system we're playing.
You came from Nashville, obviously one of the greatest, we don't have to talk about it, one of the greatest trades in the history of the Avalanche, not because you're here, but it's true. I mean, the return was awesome, and it's worked out great for you. So you've kind of known the Avalanche, basically, besides a little bit of time in Nashville. Talk to us a little bit. We talk a lot about Coach Bednar all the time, but there's a guy we don't talk a lot about is Nolan Pratt. And I'm just, you've been with him for a long time now, the D coach, and I know him. I know he does a good job, and I just want to hear a little bit what you think of how Nolan approaches things with you guys on the back end.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, like, Prater played a game, so, he knows, he knows the NHL, he knows, how you're supposed to play the game. And what I like about him is, let us play our game as well.
Yeah.
And same thing with Betsy, even if you're, for a fifth or sixth D, you're allowed to support the rush. That's what we want, we want the D to be involved offensively and to be in the rush, to create some offense, and our job is to play good defensively, but we're also allowed to play some good offense to help our forwards.
And just so you guys know, because you guys are younger and I'm older, he was tough. Oh, buddy, he was sneaky tough.
Prater?
People don't know that.
I remember watching it.
I'm telling you. Hey, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you about the same sort of thing, because that is a staple of the Colorado Avalanche defense. You guys are more aggressive offensively. Is that a freedom that you enjoy? Do you like being able to get into the play more and be a little bit more offensive? Because a lot of times, I mean, you guys are below the circles, and I love it. I mean, I love the push.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's when you create that movement in zone. That's when sometimes a forward on the other side can be a little lost defensively. So, but yeah, I mean, it's so easy to play with a group of forward like we have, as a defenseman. Yeah, no, just to be able to create some movement offensively, and as majority of the time, something's gonna open up for you.
Yeah, and it's, communication's got to be key on that too, right? You mean you're constantly talking to everybody else that's on the ice.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to be honest, I've been playing with those guys for a long time, Nate, Mikko, and we know where they are on the ice now. Yeah. So he helps us a lot, and that's why I think we have a lot of success offensively.
Yeah. On a personal note, the chat knows, and everyone knows, I'm protective of Michael Becker. But what we have is, hey, easy. What we have in common, and that's why I relate to you a lot, is we're both from Quebec. We both married girls from northern Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we both
I
got
know,
married
Jill's
in the
Loveland,
mountains.
yeah.
We both got married around the Vail Mountains.
Yeah.
And we both make Colorado home. I mean, honestly, like that's why, again, I'm biased. When I say I'm biased is I respect what you do. I'm very excited about having you back again this year. And I know you're one of our favorites here at DNVR. And we just want to wish you a great season and your lovely wife, Jacqueline, right? And then, God, we must be smart. There's something we do, right? You know what I mean?
I'm going to
'cause
follow
we're making
you
the
guys'
same quick
platform.
decisions.
Married beautiful women, make Colorado your home. Very successful. I mean, I'll just play out of you guys' playbook. I think you guys need to take me up to Loveland and start introducing to me some of your wives' friends.
Yeah, no, exactly. I love Denver. Denver is home now for me, and you know, that's why I spend my summer here. I probably go back home for like 2 or 3 weeks during the summer, but otherwise, spend my summers here, and yeah, I love it in Denver.
Listen, we're excited for you. Have a great year out there. Thanks so much for the time. Thanks so much for being a friend of the show, and best of luck this season. Hope we do this a lot more.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Sammy Girard, Colorado Avalanche season about to kick off. Last day of training camp. A lot more coming to you from the DNVR Avs pod and the Family Sports